Welcome to this YouTube channel, Bhagwan Ki Baatein, where we talk of nothing apart from God. In the ongoing series, Stories of Great Saints, we are narrating some of the episodes from the life of great Sant Kabir. In the last capsule, we learnt about how Kabir meets his guru, Ramanand. Let's see what happens next. He kept silence, however, went on to perform his bath, saying to himself, I have never seen one so determined as Kabir to be. So I will give him a little suffering. So give his mind a test. Now, just to give you the context, he went to his guru, and guru now thinks that he should test Kabir. So that's the context. And experts melt and examine inferior kind of gold. Or as experts seek to discover the true diamond by placing it upon the anvil and striking it with a hammer. Or as when they test the jewel in the serpent's head by winding thread around it and throwing it into blazing fire. Or as when Vishwamitra gave Harishchandra mine a severe test. Or as when Shiva came as uninvited guest to Shriyal. Or as when Karn fell on the pile of arrows when Krishna went to him for some gift. So I will assume an outward anger and test Kabir's mind. On a certain day, Kabir went into bazaar, singing and dancing with joy. Tears of happiness flowed from his eyes in the fullness of his love. As he danced in his love, he said to himself, by holding in my heart the lotus feet of my Guru, Ramanand, my mind has joy. As he was thus singing in his love, Ramanand heard from a distance. He took off his wooden sandals and said angrily to Kabir, you call yourself my disciple without any reason for it. When did I give you instructions? What witness have you employed to prove that you are my disciple? Tell me. So saying, he struck Kabir on his head with his sandal. Just as a mother outwardly manifests anger to her child, or again as a mother outwardly pretending anger gives her daughter instructions, or as a teacher punishes his pupil in order that he may gain knowledge, or just as men forcibly brand their cattle to drive away all diseases, or as an expert melts the gold to test. So in order to test the determination of Kabir, Ramanand struck him on the head with his sandal. Blood flowed freely, but Kabir was full of joy. He said, give attention to what I say. When you gave me the instructions that made me your disciple, there was no witness present therefore. O Swami, you could treat me with contempt. Now in the presence of everyone, you gave my head a blow with your sandal. That act proclaims to the people that everyone should know that I am your disciple. I have appointed as my witness water, the earth, air, space, light, and God, and that I have placed my service at your feet. As the Bhakt said these things, the good Guru was pleased. He went up to Kabir and placed his hand on his head, saying, seeing your determination, my test of you has satisfied my mind. Now constantly repeat the mantra, Ram Krishna, and sing their praise day and night. As the Sadguru said these things, Kabir became full of joy, and composing verses of various kinds, he sang of the goodness of Shri Ram, putting aside all wrong desires, all hopes for popular honor, putting aside all sensual desires, putting aside all pride of knowledge. He continually sang God's praises. All the people of Banaras said to Kabir, blessed are you, such high reputation became intolerable to the evil-minded persons. And when evil-minded persons hear the praises given to the God, they have doubts arisen in their hearts. Just as when the sun arises, the owls become ashamed and go in hiding. Or as when the thieves are intensely troubled when they see moon rise. Or as when a miser hears the great praise given to a donor his mind burns with malice. Or as when a prostitute becomes angry as she hears praise given to a dutiful wife, or as when hearing from anyone an exposition of Vedanta, a heretic becomes irritated. So as soon as Kabir's high reputation spread, revilers thought to find some fault in him. These evil-minded persons then met together in private and discussed the matter. Through the unusual service rendered by Bhakt Kabir to saints, his reputation was vastly increased. But he killed his own son with his own hand, and the saints raised him to life. From that day, everyone bows to him. So now, unknown to Kabir, let us bring here a company of saints and good men. Let us write letters to them, and someday bring a company of Vaishnav here. When Kabir sees with his own eyes the great number of saints, he will run away. If a very great gathering of these saints should once take place, Kabir would become disgusted with them. Then the saints will curse him, and no blame will be attached to us. Starting a quarrel between demons and the gods, the son of Brahmadev, which is Narad, watched the fun, or as having started a fight between Kauravas and Pandavas, Shakuni watched them from a distance. So, let us invite a vast number of saints and dishonor the Bhakt Kabir. Such was the plan which these evil-minded persons formed at that time. Writing letters in the name of Kabir, they sent them to Haridwar, Mathura, Gokul and Vrindavan, and to the city of Dwarka as well. All the Vaishnavas were invited to come on a certain day in a certain month. They also sent messengers inviting all the mendicants who lived in the sacred cities. They decided amongst themselves not to let Kabir know of this. If these saints came unaware, what would he do? If there should be a great gathering of 100,000 or more on a special date, who was there so foremost in doing good that he would provide them all with food? So they spent their own money in inviting these Vaishnavas. The evil men arranged for Kabir's discomfiture, that they might bring out his faults, just as Duryodhana endangered his merit and sent the yogi Durvasa to Pandavas. So with evil thoughts in their mind, these people invited an innumerable number of saints. Having listened to the reading of Kabir's letters, the saints bowed their heads in his praise, and on the day appointed in the letters they arrived. An innumerable number of saints arrived from east, west, south and north. Kabir bowed to them and lovingly embraced them. Seeing this enormous gathering of Vaishnavas, Sant Kabir was full of joy. He said, "A happy day has arisen today, for with my own eyes I have seen the Vaishnavas." The crooked-minded men began to wag their heads in derision. Now let us see what is going to happen. Looking at one another, they clapped their hands. Noticing this difficult situation, the dweller in Ayodhya, the life of Janaki, Bhagwan Ram, said to himself, "I cannot bear to have any lack of found in my bhakt on my account." Kabir is one entirely detached from the thinking of this world. Now that this innumerable gathering of saints has taken place, I must be his helper and protect him. The Vaishnavas of the sacred cities suddenly arrived and encamped on the banks of Ganga river. Lord of the world, seeing this, arrived to relieve Kabir in his distress. He became a Kabir to as many of the noble Vaishnavas as had arrived. The holder of the bow, Lord Ram, assumed for the occasion an infinite number of forms. Hari took the form of Kabir in various ways and served these bhaktas. The evil-minded sought to see the fun, but seeing the astonishing sight and taking one another by hand, they went into gathering to investigate. When they saw with their eyes an infinite number of Kabirs, their mind was filled with amazement. God felt great pleasure in serving his saints. In assuming these infinite forms, his wonderful power of creating appearances was seen. As men and women looked about to see the fun, they everywhere saw Bhakt Kabir. Each Kabir was serving the saints with reverence and caring for them. One washed their feet, one gave them a bath, one prepared the sandalwood paste used in the worship of God. One stood before them with hands joined palm to palm. One massaged their feet, one held their wooden sandals. Such were the illusionary forms of Hari. One sang before them, another gave them to eat. Life of the world, Lord, gave them pansupari. He helped some of to lie on beds. Himself sat by them. To some, Krishna spoke in tender tones. Krishna powdered bhang and gave to some. To some he gave kusumb juice to drink. He filled the pipes of some and gave them to smoke. The Savior of the world said to some, "Let us hasten to the temple." To some he was constantly saying, "Show me your favor." On the foreheads of some he made the marks with the paste of white clay, making a garland of tulsi. He would put it on them and hold a mirror before them. Shri Ram put these on with his own hands. Lord of the world sat before some, rubbing them with saffron and sandalwood paste. He put musk on the foreheads of some and gave beauty to their eyebrows. The life of the world put on raiment, ornaments on some. Some he took aside and requested them to teach him the knowledge of the soul. He took the sandals of some and with feelings of reverence held them on his head. Before some of them, the wonder-working Hari sang songs. The life of the world prepared straw mats for some and laid them down to sleep. To those who had the hankering for the opium, he brought them and gave it to them. Innumerable people sat down to eat, and there Lord of the world served them. In his love, he gave some water to drink. In some places, Krishna was making garlands of tulsi and placing them around their necks. In some places, he had taken fans in his hands and was delighting people with cool breeze. In some places, the life of the world made the saints lie down and he sat by them, massaging them. In some places, he lovingly sat to listen to books being read. When some went to have a bath, the Lord of the heart went with them. The dweller in the heaven Vaikunt would say to some, "Tell me something I can do for you." He sat near some and gave them a light lunch. Husband of Rukmani waved the whisk on some. Just as one sun is reflected in all vessels of water and is still untouched by water, so the all-pervading Krishna manifested himself in the form of Kabir. Long ago, when Krishna was a child, the cow herdesses took him by the hand and came to complain to Yashoda. He then suddenly manifested himself in number of forms and in numberless forms. While the daughter of Drupad was serving a meal to a gathering of Kauravas, some evil-minded men gave her trouble. He then appeared before each one's plate in the form of Draupadi and reproached Duryodhan. So Krishna, seeing the loving devotion of Kabir, assumed innumerable forms. Men and women saw the amazing sight and wondered at it. The Vaishnav Bhaktas remained there in the sacred city of Benares for 3 nights. During all these times, Lord of the heaven Vaikunt lovingly served them. The Lord of the heart with his own hands gave to every saint a garment and ornaments. Whatever anyone desired, he obtained. The husband of Sita, having seen these Vaishnavas on their way, he became invisible. So this was the magic of the bhakti of Kabir, that Lord himself came down and served each and every saint by assuming form of Kabir. In fact, infinite forms of Kabir. Such is the magic of bhakti. Such is the magic of bhakt. And this only proves that there is no difference between the Lord and his bhakt, which Lord made the evil men and the sannyasis, the sons, realize that. And above all, Kabir would be knowing about this. We'll know what happens next in the next capsule. Until then, goodbye, good luck, and Sadar Pranam.